it wasn't quite 15. We're good? Ready? All right. Okay, guys. Well, I want to welcome you back to Thursday Night Fly Tying. We're here again at Caravel Craft Brewery here in Calgary, kind of up by the airport. Got a nice crew out again tonight. Happy to do some fly tying with them. Just want to welcome you on behalf of Fly Fishing Bow River. We've got another treat for you tonight. Actually, we brought in Cole Martin. He's going to come and he's going to perform for us tonight. Do a few songs here at the start. We'll do a couple more in the middle, and then we'll finish off with a couple more after that. So Cole, I just want to know, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, how you got into this.
From Innisfail, Alberta.
Awesome.
Yeah, I started playing music when I was like 14.
Okay.
Yeah, just been loving it ever since.
Loving it ever since?
Yeah,
So
sure.
what have you been doing recently?
Recently, I've been focusing on like writing music, so I can eventually put out like probably an EP, like 4 or 5 songs, and then see if I can spread that anywhere. And,
awesome.
yeah, see where that goes.
So how do people find you if they want to hear your music right now?
They can find me on Facebook at Cole Martin Music, or also Instagram, Cole Martin Music too. So.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So if someone wanted you, let's say for an event or something to do, is that something you do, or is,
for sure.
Yeah? So they can just go find you through that source and then and book you for that.
Anything from like little campfires to big hauls, and
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, we'll let you do your thing,
Sounds
and
good.
then we'll get to some fly tying shortly after that. All right. Okay.
All right, well, I'm going to start off with a little folk song by Guy Clark. This one's called Stuff That Works. I got an old blue shirt and it suits me just fine. I like the way it feels, so I wear it all the time. I got an old guitar, won't never stay in tune. I like the way it sounds in a dark and empty room. I got an old pair of boots and they fit me just right. And I can work all day and I can dance all night. I got an old used truck and it runs like a top. I get the feeling it ain't never gonna stop. Stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on the wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you feel, the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall.
Hey guys.
I got a pretty good friend who's seen me at my worst. He can't tell if I'm a blessing or a curse, but he always shows up when the chips are down. And that's the kind of stuff I like to be around. Stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on the wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you feel, the kind of stuff you reach for when you fall. Got a woman I love, she's crazy, paints like God. She got a playground sense of justice, she don't take odds. I got a tattoo with her name right through my soul. I think everything she touches turns to gold. Stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang on the wall. Stuff that's real, stuff you feel, kind of stuff you reach for in your fall. Thank you very much. Awesome. Alrighty, well, this next one's a song I wrote, and it's called Home. Hope you like it. A gray ocean sky, birds flying high down the coast. I don't know where they're going. A west breeze strongly blowing. She's about to go. She's heading home. She's on her way. The mountains to her sides, the ocean to the west of her, and a sunrise fills her eyes. She's BC beautiful. I'm Alberta strong. Together we can make it here. Gonna make this place our home. Big blue sky, island girl by my side, open gravel road. Winds of change are blowing, growing closer without knowing, feels just like home. My lonely home is slowly growing neath the big Alberta sky. Plains to the east of me, gold fields far and wide. She's BC beautiful, I'm Alberta strong. Together we can make it here. Gonna make this place our home. Our home. She's BC beautiful. She's BC beautiful. Thank you. So this next one's called Like a Cowboy. It's by Randy Houser. Every time I fall, I get back up again. Cinch my saddle up, find me another way. I let it take me where it wants to go. Another one-horse town, another damned old rodeo. And I know this life is crazy, but I'll be home soon, baby. I ride in on a sunny day, sing you a song, steal your heart away like a cowboy. Hang my hat like I'm here for a while, kick off my boots, drive you wild like a cowboy. Well, baby, you know I can't stay long. You wake up, I'll be gone. But till then I hold on like a cowboy. I keep your picture tucked inside my old hat. it brings me luck, I need a bunch of that. This midnight winding road runs through my blood. I can't give it up like I said I would. And I know it's hard on you, like I always do. I ride in on a sunny day, sing you a song, steal your heart away like a cowboy. Hang my hat like I'm here for a while, kick off my boots, drive you wild like a cowboy. Baby, you know I can't stay long. You wake up, I'll be gone. But till then I hold on like a cowboy. Like a cowboy. Like a cowboy. Every time I fall, I get back up again. Cinch my saddle up, find me another way. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Are we ready to rock and roll? Nice job, buddy. You got a great voice. That's awesome. Okay, guys. How are y'all doing tonight? We doing good? Yeah? See some new faces. That's awesome to see. I'm glad it. We obviously had a little more exposure last week, so a little more people saw it. Happy to see some new people here. That's great. So tonight we're gonna focus on one fly. So last week we did a woolly bugger and then a Bow River bugger to kind of hopefully teach us a few things that we're going to use stepping into this fly tonight. So this is an articulated streamer. They call it. This is a Kelly Gallup's Sex Dungeon. Not a really appropriate name, but he didn't name a lot of his things appropriately. So, but it's a great fly. We're going to kind of use. It's almost like tying a woolly bugger in the hind end and a Bow River bugger up top. We're just going to be learning how to spin deer a little better today. So. Give yourself a break if you're new. Like, is there anybody who's brand new besides Cole? All right, awesome. So okay. So we're gonna take you step through step. Okay, so we're gonna give you the best opportunity to get through this fly. Just don't hesitate to ask for help. I'll come up, I'll give you a hand, show you something. You guys can't at home. You guys can see what I'm doing on a camera, but you guys can't see it as well. So if you have a question about how I'm doing it, and the guy next to you doesn't know, or the lady next to you doesn't know, then just let me know, and I'll come give you a hand, okay? So it'll probably all turn out really well until we get to the head, and then it's the first about 30 of these you do, they just progressively get better till they look a little nicer, but they're always awful to start with, so don't be too upset about it. Give yourself a break. All right, so let's start off. We're gonna put in the smaller of the, so what you have in your bag there, you have enough for 2 flies. So we'll tie one together. For the people at home, we'll tie one. And then the other one's for you to take home, or if we're hanging out after, you wanna tie the other one while I'm here and have some questions, we can do that as well, okay? So let's start off by taking that smaller hook you have in your package there, and we'll get it secured in your vise. So this hook that we have today, oh, sorry, yeah, grab one, there you go. This one is a Mustad streamer hook. We have a size 6. This could be done in different sizes for that trailing hook. I like sometimes actually use a stinger hook back there, just like we're going to use for the front hook. But it's not a big deal what you use. But you want a streamer hook probably that has a little bit of a longer shank so that you can actually build some material up it. So once we have that secured, let's take your thread. So does everybody have thread to use in a bobbin? We're good there. So we're going to start off in this fly. We're going to use you can use whatever thread you want to start, but once we get to the head of the fly, we're going to go with a heavier thread. So if you don't have a heavier thread, I have some up here, and we might just have to kind of share, well, that portion. it's a lot easier to spin deer hair with a little bit stronger thread. So whatever thread you want to use is fine. You got your black stuff there? Go. So let's, we'll just take our thread, we'll get it started behind the eye. We'll run our thread all the way back to basically where the barb on your hook would be, okay? Yeah, there you go. So now go back over itself, so wrap. Yeah, so then it locks it in. Yep, and then just keep winding it all the way back to the back. So if you pull down and give yourself a little thread to work with, yeah, there you go. So we're making Cole tie today. He's never even seen a vise before, so this is to show that anybody can do it, and we'll see how bad it looks at the end, and we'll reward him. Yeah, there you go. So just keep tension on it as you're going. Yeah, so if you hold tight with your bobbin up here, so if I hold tight, if I give it slack, it's not going to want to do it, whereas if I hold tight and wrap tight. Yeah, so look, take it like this, like a key. So lay this part inside your palm.
Okay.
Pinch it on your fingers, and then we'll wrap. There we go. Okay, guys, we're gonna, yeah, that's good. We're gonna take our a plume of marabou. So you should have a few different plumes. When we're tying this fly, like, you can get really picky when it comes to your marabou. We're not gonna be super picky about it today because we can have different quality of marabou. If I was to look at my pack and I had a couple of crummier looking pieces, I would use it for the middle of the fly, and I would take my best full plume and use it in the back. So in the back of our fly, to measure this off, we want to have about, if we look at the marabou, we want to have a hook's length hanging off the back end of the hook. So we can transfer that from marking it at the eye. I like to pinch it in my finger, set it on top of the eye, get the length that I want, go back, set it on top of the hook. Yeah, that's good. So just take it and slide it in your fingers until you get down to the end. Yeah, that's all right. So for tying this in, guys, for some of you who are a little newer, we're going to hold it with the hand that we don't use our bobbin with. We're going to just do a light once over, and we just call it a collecting wrap. And then we can still hold on to it. We can kind of make sure that marabou is sitting on top of the hook. Then we can add a second one, and we can pull a little tighter. And then we're going to add continual wraps over top of it. We want to move down the hook, leaving that marabou on there. So we want a little bit of bulk, so we're not going to cut it off until we get that thread all the way up to the eye. Just stay back from the eye a little bit, and then we'll cut it off. How you doing?
I don't know.
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So just keep going. Keep wrapping back.
To the
Yeah.
eye?
So we're gonna cover up the marabou all the way back till we get to about where the hook bend starts.
Okay.
Here's a pair of scissors to use too.
Doesn't matter how tight it is.
As tight as you can get it without breaking the threads. You don't want to, but you don't have to be super tight wraps. Just back over it. Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. If you look in your, how did that go? Is everybody good there? So just make sure you don't crowd that eye too much, because once we get to that eye, we're gonna put some silly legs behind it. So once we have all our materials on it, we need to leave ourselves a little bit of space.
Is that you again, Tim?
No. I know, my wife's here. I told my mom not to call me again. All right, not bad, not bad. That's good. Yeah. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do, guys, we're gonna take, if you look in your pack, you have these longer feathers. We call them schlappen. So it's a type of hackle, but this one's a lot fuller. So in comparison to the ones we used last week, this is, when we kind of strip those feathers down, we get a much bigger surface to work with. So we're gonna have a lot more movement in this fly from this feather. So we call this schlappen. Kind of a fun word. Schlappen. Yeah, it is kind of fun to say. Rolls off the tongue quite nice. Is the marabou, sorry, just before we move on, has everybody got that marabou in okay?
Yep.
Yes? Thanks for the answer, I appreciate it. So yeah, we're gonna tie this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna, again, like we did last week, we're not probably gonna use this fluffy stuff at the top, but we're gonna leave it on there this time, because if we wrap up when we need to, that'll actually make a nice little collar up by the eye. So what we're gonna do is come up to the tip, we're gonna strip some feathers back. You can leave about that much, so I've left about this much on the tip, and I'm gonna take it and tie it in. But remember, like we said last week, guys, a feather has a concave side and a top side. So on this feather, for instance, I can tell that they're bowing like this way. So we want to tie them in so that the fibers want to point backwards. So versus just tying it in, and if those are pointed forward, when we wrap it up, it's not going to look smooth, it's not going to carry a shape. So if you were to hold up your feather like this, it's probably going to lay one way. We want it pointed that direction back when we tie it in. So every time that we take a new material and tie it in, we're going to just take that nice loose collecting wrap to hold it on top, hold it in place, and then we'll do a couple more. So we're going to peel this back like this at the tip.
Okay.
And we're going to tie that tip in right at the back of the marabou. And we'll tie it right at the back of the marabou, guys. Give me 1 second. How are we doing? Did that sort of make sense to you? Yeah, that looks good. That looks real good.
Then you want this guy like that?
So take this feather and we pull these fibers back down. This is what we're going to be using to wrap up. So as you can tell with this feather, and I'll show you guys back home. So if you see this feather like this, the way that it's angling, I want to think of those fibers want to point backwards when we're moving down, back down the fly. So I need to tie it in so that those feathers are actually pointed towards the tail, towards the marabou. So when we wrap it up, that it's actually going to point backwards and it's not going to fight the current in the water. So if I put this here, I can tell those are pointed backwards now. So when I tie it in, I'm going to tie that tip in right here. So like we did before, a nice loose collecting wrap, and then wrap it in.
Wrap it all the way back.
Yeah, wrap it back to on top of the hook, or on top of where you were back there. Good. Yeah, and then we're simply going to secure that. So yeah, you can go over it once. So I kind of in the way there, but it's kind of it's a game of learning how to hold the material and tie it in. Good.
Sweet.
Yeah, so once we got that nice and secure, then I'll show you, we're going to let that just kind of lay back and we'll wind up once we do, but you can clip off that little bit.
Okay.
How you doing? Good?
That sounds complicated. Okay, what do I gotta do?
Okay, so we're going to just kind of hold on to the tip, and we can expose the fibers by just pulling them back down. And so that kind of gives us that shape we want. So we don't want those fibers to point forward up the fly,
No.
so we want to spin it around, and we're going to tie it in here.
So I gotta go all the way back?
Yeah, so just bring your thread back and then tie it in right on top there. How about everybody else? That work out okay? Yeah. So some of you guys have already done it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to, after we tie that in, we're going to tie in that crystal chenille that we have. So this kind of funky looking fiber stuff, we'll tie that in right ahead of where we just tied in that last feather. So I'll show you quickly here. So I'm going to tie that in again with those fibers pointing backwards, securing that down. Kind of the beauty of these bigger flies, guys, is we don't have to be like when you look at one of these flies, you're like, man, that looks so complicated. That's the beauty of these flies, is we can suck at this and still make a good looking fly. So what? Yeah, good. So don't worry about being super neat. We can be a little sloppier. We can leave a little extra material in the fly. It's not the end of the world because it's all just going to look and add to bulk. Okay. So after we tied that in, we're going to tie in that piece of cactus chenille. So again, when we do this, if we grab the little fibers at the end, and we pull some out, it'll expose a little piece of thread that's in there. And then from there, we'll be able to tie that piece in. So tie that right ahead of where you had that schlappen. Does that sort of make sense?
So kind of like just
Yep.
before?
Yeah, exactly. Tie that in there.
Okay.
Not too bad, not too bad. All right, guys. Cool. We're almost there? Yeah, let's give everybody a second to catch up here. So Cole was talking to me earlier and he told me that he started when, what, you were 14, 15?
Yep.
Okay. And you entered a few competitions recently that you actually won. So tell me a little bit about that.
So yeah, actually last year I was playing at the Olds Legion actually on Thursday nights. They have a little jam session there,
Okay.
and so I got to know the guys that are always there, and they told me this competition's coming up, the CKFM Star Search in Olds, and
Yeah.
they're like, you got to enter it, and I was like, I don't know, and I ended up entering it, and I made her to finals, and
Nice.
yeah, I ended up getting I co-won it with a girl named Michaela Sheedy out of
Okay.
Okotoks.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got a recording out of that, and
Awesome.
it was pretty good. And then the Pinoca Stampede talent show also ended up winning that one, so it was pretty exciting.
That's no joke. If anybody doesn't know, the Pinoca Stampede talent show is actually like what? There's like
I
50.
think there's 56 people auditioned.
Yeah, so it's actually pretty big. Yeah, well, it's no
It
joke.
was crazy. I couldn't believe it. it was just that good feeling. I came off the stage and I said I had so much fun. I didn't care if I
You
won.
didn't care, yeah. Just
They called my name and it was crazy. Yeah,
that's so cool, man.
Awesome.
So cool. Awesome. So guys, do we got that chenille in? Okay. So now that we've got these two materials sitting here, we need that schlappin's going to sit at the back, and we're going to work with this chenille first. So we're actually going to wrap the chenille up. So remember, as we've talked last week, we always want to leave some room at the eye. Okay, we don't want to crowd that eye too much, because we're always going to end up needing to put something, finishing it off, whip finishing, whatever. So leave some room behind the eye, because especially this time, as you notice in your pack, we have some of these silly legs that we add into it. So we're going to need some room at that head of the fly. Okay, so what we're going to do is to start off with, we're going to take this cactus chenille and we're going to kind of just open spiral it, wrapping it up that hook shank. So just kind of think of making touching wraps. We're going to go up. Again, leaving ourselves a little bit of room behind that eye. And we're going to trap that material. So when I say trapping that material, I'm going to always keep a finger on that when I'm working with it, because if I let go and I haven't trapped it completely, it's going to be gone. So you want to think of crossing over that material once on one side, flip around, cross over on the other. If it was a hackle fiber we're really worried about, we'd actually hold the material and go around the material twice with the bobbin and then attach it. But this stuff we know is not going to come off. So always think of once behind, once in front, once behind. And that'll lock that material down good for us.
So it's a little easier for you in the end.
Yeah, good stuff. Not
Yeah,
bad.
I wrapped her.
Yeah, wrap it, and then we'll just clip off that chenille. You can just kind of clip it off semi-tight. Beauty, beauty. And once we have that, guys, now what we're going to do is just follow behind that chenille with that feather. So once you have the chenille up to the front, make sure you cut it off so it's out of the way. And now we're going to, remembering that we want to orient those feathers pointing backwards, we're just going to slowly kind of open spiral wrap that schlappen feather. And you can use your fingers on the hand that's not wrapping to kind of, I grab those feathers and kind of pull them back just to make sure they're heading in the right direction.
That's the right direction. Back.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. And just wrap them up.
Yeah, so just keep so as I wrap, it's just going to expose more and more fibers. So we're going to take that all the way up to right behind the eye, right where we finished the chenille. This is kind of a bit of an art of manipulating the material to go kind of where you want. And something that can help too is if you wet your fingers, probably not in your beer, but if you lick them or put them in water, you can actually grab that material and kind of stroke it backwards so it wants to go in the right way. So that's basically just like our woolly bugger last week, guys. We've pretty much done exactly what we did last week. We're just doing it with a little bit bigger fibers, so we get a little bit bigger profile out of this fly. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, it's good. So yeah, you're just kind of just constantly working those materials back. So now just make sure you take your thread and you make sure you get it closed off, and then you can snip it off. How's it going? Looking good? Not bad, not bad. How's it going?
I think I'm doing
You think you're doing it? You are doing it.
I know that it's got to go on this.
Yeah, yeah, and then just open spiral all the way up. And as you go, just kind of grab those and pull them back. Yeah.
I was pulling like,
Yeah, well, you can do that to get them to fluff up, and then we pull them kind of back so that they want to go in the direction we want them to go. And yeah, just trying to keep constant tension on it so that, yeah, it doesn't come loose on you. Did you snip it off?
No, bro.
Oh,
It's getting
even
aggressive.
worse.
It's getting crazy.
Getting too aggressive. There you go, guys. And once you get that all tied in, you can give yourself a little bit of a thread dam. So what I mean by that is we're gonna wrap back onto our material by like a couple millimeters max, not very much at all. You're just kind of creating some space for yourself to put in those silly legs that we're gonna do next.
You're calling them silly legs?
Yeah, they're silly. They're just silly. There you go. Oh man, probably just over three years probably now. Yeah. Yeah. You'd be surprised how, it's not really how long you've been doing it, it's how many flies you've tied. So if you tie a ton, you catch on real fast, so.
Oh yeah, I gotta stay away from it.
Just a little bit.
You use it if you don't use it? Is that
Yeah, something like that. There you go, good stuff. How's Cole doing? Good? Oh man, you're like a professional. It's not bad at all. You might need to stop singing and start fly tying. All right, guys, I think you're all just about there. So if you go into your materials, you're gonna see some silly, whatever you want to call them, rubber legs, silly legs. These ones are kind of nice because they got little specks of sparkle in them. So we add these to this fly so that we get a little bit of extra movement out of them. We kind of cut these about at the tail length and they kind of dance on their own. So it's just giving this fly a lot more movement in the water. These will move quite a bit more independent from the fly. So whether you're stripping this fly fast or whether you're on a dead drift or whatever, you're always gonna have fibers that are moving in the water, and this is a big piece of helping that happen. So putting these in, so like I said, guys, we can create that little bit of a thread dam just so we can kind of clean it up, and it's okay to wrap back onto your materials a little bit. We just want a little bit of space so it's easy to lay these legs down on it. So if I take those legs and on my thread, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around them. So I'm gonna wrap it like this. So if you see here, I've literally just gone around them and held them on here. And I'm just trying to keep the tips aligned at the back so it's fairly even when I do that. And then holding that with that opposite hand, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull those rubber legs with my thread. So if I move my thread up and down, those legs move up and down. I'm just gonna pull those down to where I want them on the fly. So we're gonna tie them in on the other side as well. So when they're facing you or on the opposite side, we want these to actually finish laying on the side of the fly, not on top, not on bottom, okay? So I can orient them where I want them, and the thread dam you just created, I'll tie these ones on the back so you can see it first. So by me creating that thread dam, now I secured it, I'm holding it tight. I can lay those back down the fly and wrap up over top of them, and that is showing me where I want them. So that'll keep them on the side of the fly just by doing that. Make sense? Kind of, sort of? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Maybe come back just a little bit so we don't need to go quite as far up on top of it. There we go. And yeah, guys, just repeat it. So do it on one side of the fly, and then we'll turn it over and go on the other. So for you guys, what you should probably actually do, I think for the amount that we gave you, you're gonna wanna cut that in half and then fold it over. Okay. I probably should have told you that first. Now that you got it so beautifully tied in there. It's in there.
You're putting one on one side,
one on one side, one on the other. So once you have one on this side, then you just opposite, go onto the other side. If you have a rotating vise, it makes it a little easier for you because you can actually just turn it over in your vise if you don't feel comfortable tying on that opposite side. Cole has other strategies. He just moves the vise to wherever it needs to be. Okay, so I'll do the same thing. Not bad, not bad.
It's on there.
That's good. So guys, when we're thinking of cutting these off at a length, like I said before, we can lay them back down the fly, and we want to maybe give ourselves a 1/4 inch beyond the back fibers of that marabou. So you want to keep it back just a little bit so it's going to kind of dance a little more freely in the water. We can cut them off. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and if you do, and we'll do it on maybe on the front half when we do the next part of the fly, if you cut those in half, it's actually the perfect length to kind of get back to the back of that marabou. Now finishing off this front hook. So we have, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do a whip finish. There's other things you can do. You can just do a simple knot over top of it, but the more technical you're not, the tighter it is, it's gonna stay. And if it's not, then you're gonna need to use a little bit more head cement, which is okay too. I always use head cement, or in this case, I use a Zap-A-Gap super glue. I use it no matter what. That way I know I'm gonna get the time out of these flies. Okay, so try to teach this whip finish here. That's what I was trying to figure out earlier. Teaching this right-handed. Okay, I think I figured it out. Okay, so we expose a little bit of thread. We're gonna come in and capture that thread with the hook, and we're gonna fold this over. Okay, 1 second here.
I was kind of watching here earlier.
Yeah, so then when I look at this, I create a 4.
Yeah.
See how that 4 looks? And all you're thinking of is you're gonna wrap back over this line that the bobbin's on.
I see.
So I keep the line on this side of that eye, I wrap around it, wrap around it, wrap around it. I let go with the back, use that hook to control it, pull tight.
Nice.
And that should stay.
Cool.
Okay, and I'll let you try it on the next one. And then if you just take a touch of this super glue and just tap it just a little bit on the front. So however you want to finish off that fly, if you're not sure how to do that, I'll come give you a hand. Not bad. It's something.
What do you call these things?
For a first fly? Yeah, this is a streamer. So this would be a fly, if you were to think of conventional fishing, like with a spin cast reel or spin cast rod, this would be more like a Len Thompson lure, like something that's a conventional lure that you cast out and retrieve to yourself. So we do the same thing with a fly rod. We retrieve it back to ourselves, whereas a lot of times with a dry fly or a nymph, we're actually fishing it as it drifts. We have to mend, we have to do all these fancy things. This is more just chuck and duck, get it out there, and then bring it back to yourself. So this is actually a sculpin pattern, yeah, is what it is. Depending on how much you put on the head for hair, that's how it's supposed to be. Okay, so this is not an easy thing to teach or to do. It's gonna click one day, and that's just the way it is. We capture with that hook, we wrap over top. Now we want to think that the butt of this, so this butt up here, we want that to be pointed out. If I look at this, I've created a 4. See how that crosses? Now I'm going to wrap back over this line here. So I'm taking it, wrapping over. We can do 3 or 4, whatever you want. Then we let go with this one, and we control it by pulling this and using that hook on there to pull it tight. Okay? A little bit more. We should see if we have one here. Yeah. Sorry, your bodkin. I think it has the barrel knot. I can do off the end of it. Yeah, that one. So if we have a tool, is that one bigger? Okay, perfect, thank you. I'm blanking. What do we call this? A half hitch. Yeah, I was blanking. So this is a really easy way of doing it. If you have something like this, like a pen, like an empty pen or something that's going to cover up over that hook, all I do is I take this and I wrap once, twice. Ooh, oh, wait a second here, so you can see this. So when we're first struggling with our whip finish, it's easier to do this, and if we add some head cement, it's going to be as strong. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to place this on there. As you can see, guys at home, all it is a hole on the end of this. You could use empty a pen out. You could use exactly the same thing. So if you had an empty pen, all you're going to do is go around it once, twice, 3 times. Put that hole that's on the end of your device on that, and you can use your finger to kind of guide that to go back until it slips over that. Pull it tight. Okay? You could do it maybe once or twice, just to make sure. Pull it tight. And that's going to be every bit as strong if you do a couple of those. Best to learn the whip finish, but it's hard. So it's good to do it like that. All right, guys. Let's pop that one out. That fly, that portion of the fly is done. So if you go into your materials again, we have you're gonna have like a little bit of a wire material. So you're gonna have a couple pieces of it. We just need one for this first fly, and you're gonna have some beads. So I want you to take out 3 of the beads, and I want you to take out that piece of wire. There's lots of different wires that you can use for this. I actually have used a ton of the fly fishing commercial stuff. Rio makes one that is like a pike wire stuff that you can use for fly tying. The best thing I've ever found is this brand is Beadalon. It's actually like a bead wire you get from a craft store. It's much thinner. It still has good strength, You don't need 30 pounds of this because you're doubling it over. So even if this is 10 pounds and you've doubled it over once, you got 20 pounds of resistance on this. It's easier to work with a little bit thinner wire than really big stuff. Some guys use mono or backing from your fly line. It works as well. I prefer it to be a little stiffer because the whole point of this, of putting the beads on with this wire, is to control that back end so it really articulates, but it stays back. Otherwise it'll foul hook on your front hook a bunch, okay? So let's grab that piece of wire. Where did I go with my cutters here? So there's a few different ways of doing this, but I'm going to show you the one that I think is the easiest. So, okay, stuff here. So this stuff I got at Michael's. It's I think you pay $7, and this I tie a lot of streamers, and this lasts a long time. So it's good, pretty good stuff to have. So we're going to take that wire here, guys. We're going to take 3 of the beads, and that hook that you just tied. I want you to run that wire through the eye of the hook to start. So we're going to run it through the eye. We're going to double it over so we've got that equal split. So we're looking like this, and then I'm going to get you to, so this is where I'm at here, guys. So double it over once it's gone through the eye. So you got 2 pieces of wire stuck together like so, and then we're going to feed each of those beads we have over top of both of those wires and pull them back down towards the eye of the hook, or they'll pop off and run away on you. And so what I like to do while I'm waiting to tie it on my next hook is I'll pull them all the way back so that they actually want to stay up against the eye of that hook, and then they're not going to leave on you, okay? So like so, pull it back there, and we'll just wait for it while it's there.
Throw them all on?
No, just 3 of them. There's 3 of them, yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Do you have some more wire there, Tim?
Yeah, I do. Anybody else need some more? Are you good?
Yeah, I don't.
You dropped it?
I don't know if I got it.
Oh, it's the stuff that's in there is super fine, and it's easy to
Was
lose.
it in the small bag?
It should have been in the small bag, yeah.
Yeah,
That's okay. There's a piece. I'll leave you another one too for the other stuff. That was a little easier to see. So kind of a good comment that was brought up at the other end of the table. A question is, this is a streamer. What exactly does that mean? And kind of the answer given to him was, it's more like conventional gear. So if I was to think of picking up, my dad's spin rod, and I went out with a jig, or I went out with a Len Thompson, that's kind of the idea we think of when we think of a streamer. This is something that we cast out and we retrieve to ourselves in 1,000 different ways, trying to make it look the most like a bait fish. So most of the time our streamers are just imitating a minnow or another type of small bait fish, a smaller version of a trout or anything like that can gain an aggressive strike. A lot of people think this is a big streamer, like how would I ever catch trout on this? This is not too big for trout, and you can catch them on much bigger streamers than this, especially brown trout that are really aggressive sometimes of the year, that are just territorial. This pattern is actually meant to look like a sculpin. Depending on how good you trim your head, it'll either look like one or it won't, but we'll get to that. Okay, so once you got those in there, what I want you to do is take your stinger hook, so the bigger of the 2 hooks that you had, and you're gonna stick one of those in your vise. And then I want you to find those, we call them dumbbell eyes, that should be in there as well. So they're a lead or a composite of some kind, a lead eye. Yeah, one of those. And we're gonna attach this to the top of the hook. Yeah, we'll move it around to the bottom. We attach it to the top. So we have our dumbbell eyes here, guys. Now there's no real true way to attach dumbbell eyes. Everybody says they have their own way, and everybody's got a little bit different way. The key is to get it started, and once you have it on, then just wrap and wrap and wrap until you feel secure. Like, is it not moving anymore and it's even looking, then you're good. So I'll show you what I do. First, start your thread on the hook. So you're gonna wanna start kind of just behind the eye. We want these to sit about two to three eye lengths behind the eye of the hook. Okay. I like to create a little bit of a thread base as I go back, so I'll take it all the way back to the bend, and then I'll bring it back up to the eye. So we're going to start by actually securing them on top, and then we'll spin them to the bottom. We want them on the bottom because wherever the weight is on that hook, that's the way it's going to ride in the water. So if we put it on top, then that hook would ride up. And there's flies that we want to do that. This just isn't one of them, okay? So we'll start by putting these on top. So I'm going to lay them on top of the hook, remembering that spacing that I wanted, and just go over top one way, turn, go over top the other way. Think of creating a figure 8 when you do this, going around the hook, going around the eyes. So if I look at it like this, I'm going around one way, going around the other way. Okay. 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 So, sorry?
When should you spin it to the bottom?
You don't want it to be completely locked in before you turn it over the hook to the bottom. But what you do want, guys, if you look up here, if you can see this, the biggest key here, especially when we put that deer hair in after, is we need those dumbbell eyes to be perpendicular to that hook. So we want those eyes to be perfectly left and right. We don't want to be one to be leaning a little bit farther forward, back or forward. We want them to be as even as possible. And you'll realize that when you put wraps up against it, if I were to wrap up against this side of the eye here, it's actually going to force it back a little bit, and vice versa if I go to the other side of it. So that helps us kind of create where we want to be. But at some point in your wrapping process, you actually want to go around just the dumbbell eyes. So forget the hook completely, and just kind of, it's just a little underneath, underneath, underneath. That just holding it right where you want it to be. Once you feel pretty good about where it is, we're just going to take that and we're going to spin it to the bottom side of the hook. And if now in doing that, it made one end look a little crooked, we'll just do a few more wraps to secure it. Yeah, it's good. Just clip off your little trail there. Once we feel good about that, you'll feel better if you put a little touch of glue. So put some glue on those top wraps that you just put on. So for instance here, I don't really need to put them on the bottom down here per se. It doesn't hurt, but more important that we put them over all those thread wraps we just did. Does anybody have any questions or you need some help?
If you don't mind, maybe I'll take that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We'll let our glue dry.
Okay, guys, we're gonna get Cole to go up and sing a couple more songs for us. I'll walk around, make sure we're all at the same point, and we'll keep going. You good with that?
Yeah, sure.
We should all just appreciate how good his fly's looking right now, considering he's never done this before. Cool.
It's all right.
It's all right. Good. Okay.
Yeah, hope so. So yeah, you're gonna come, just go a couple more times, because if they spin like that, it's not tight enough. So make sure you put the pressure on it, do not too hard. You don't want to break your threads. What did you do? Sorry, I was trying to find this. What did you do? You said you did something with these beads.
It's all right on.
So did you put through?
Oh yeah. So
put it
through the eye of the hook.
And then
Okay. So this one I'm going to start off with is actually a song by Tyler Childers. And I'm a big fan of that classic country music sound. And he's kind of got it, and he's making some new music with that old sound. So it's pretty cool. So this one's called Feathered Indians. Well, my buckle makes impressions on the inside of her thigh. There are little feathered Indians where we tussled through the night. If I'd known she was religious, then I wouldn't have came stone to the house of such an angel, too messed up to get back home. looking over West Virginia, smoking spirits on the roof. She asked, ain't anybody told you that them things are bad for you? I said, many folks have warned me. There's been several people try, but up till now there ain't been nothing that I couldn't leave behind. Hold me close, my dear, sing your whispering song softly in my ear, and I will sing along. Honey, tell me how your love runs true. I can always count on you. Be there when the bullets fly, to run across the river just to hold you tonight. Well, my heart is sweating bullets from the circles it has raised, like a feathered little Indian calling out the clouds for rain. I go running through the thicket, I go careless through the thorns, just to hold her for a minute, though it leaves me wanting more. Hold me close, my dear, sing your whispering song softly in my ear, and I will sing along. Honey, tell me how your love runs true. I can always count on you. Be there when the bullets fly, to run across the river just to hold you tonight. Thank you very much. All right, well, this next one's another original. This is my newest one, so I'm still kind of working on the sound of it, but hope you enjoy. It's like I'm flying down a dirt road with the wind blowing through my hair. When I throw a line out fishing and my bobber disappears, that's how your love feels. So many ways to say it, it's hard to choose just one. But you and me together are in this love for the long run. Sitting, sipping the morning coffee, greeting the morning sun. When you're swinging for the fences and you hit that first home run, that's how your love feels. So many ways to say it, it's hard to choose just one. But you and me together are in this love for the long run. We're in this love for the long run. Thank you very much. Thank you. Alrighty, so like I said, I'm a huge fan of the classic country music, and this is one of my favorite ones to play. It's an old Conway Twitty song, so. Hello, darling. Nice to see you. It's been a long time. You're just as lovely as you used to be. How's your new love? Are you happy? Hope you're doing fine. Just to know it means so much to me. What's that, darling? How am I doing? Guess I'm doing alright, except I can't sleep and I cry night till dawn. What I'm trying to say is I love you and I miss you. I'm so sorry that I did you wrong. Look up, darling, let me kiss you. Just for old time's sake, let me hold you in my arms one more time. Thank you, darling. May God bless you, and may each step you take bring you closer to the thing you seek to find. Goodbye, darling. Gotta go now. Gotta try and find a way to lose these memories of a love so warm and true. And if you should ever find it in your heart to forgive me, come back, darling, I'll be waiting for you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks again, Cole. That's great. Yeah. Don't avoid tying this fly. All right, guys. I see quite a few of you guys have already done it, so I'll kind of just tell you quick, and then we'll keep moving. But next thing we got to do is we got to attach this back fly we have here with our beads. We just need to attach it to that hook. Sorry, all my beads fell off. So when we're kind of gauging this, we don't want this to be too far back because we got a greater chance of that coming back and foul hooking on that first hook. So we want to keep it just tight enough that those beads are kind of in line and keeping that hook away from this other hook. Okay, so we want a little bit of a space behind the beads, but about that much is about as much as we want. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna not glue our fingers to there. We're gonna bring our thread back to that hook bend. We're gonna start wrapping up that hook shank once we've kind of got the distance we want. And an easy way to do this, guys, is to put a couple of pinch wraps on that wire, and that's just gonna hold it in place long enough for you to gauge it a little bit. So I have a couple pinch wraps on it, but I can still move it up and down. That's kind of a nice way to get your material set, and then we can move from there. We're gonna attach this our wire now to the back here. Okay. So we want to leave about this much room behind our beads. Throw it up on top of the hook. Yeah. And you can start. So maybe work your thread back just a little bit first behind your eyes. So just farther down the shank of the hook, and then yeah, you can just start wrapping down that wire.
So you almost have it so that first bead's touching.
Yeah.
Almost touching.
Yeah, exactly. So we leave a little bit of space behind it, but that first bead, so literally, guys, what this is doing is those beads are propping up that back portion of the fly, to keep it away from the front hook. So it's okay to have those beads come up onto the hook shank a little bit. So we want to wrap that up the hook shank. And what I like to do is, by setting this the way I did and cutting the pieces of wire the length we did for you guys, it leaves you enough wire to take and bend back over itself. So that just doubles up that strength one more time. So I fold it back over, I run that thread back up and over and down again one more time. And if you have any wire hanging out, don't use your good scissors. I carry a little tiny pair of wire cutters, and that helps a lot with this, with any coarser material or with this wire. How you doing? Oh man, look, seriously, like, first time, you're just crushing it. No joke, it's great.
Wait till you fish.
Yeah, wait till you fish it.
Yeah, take me out.
Yeah. What's happening?
We owe you.
Yeah, we owe you a trip, for sure. How did that go, guys? Everybody good there? We just want to be careful about not wrapping that wire so far down the bend of the hook that it's starting to head pointing down. So we want to stop a little earlier than that. Yeah, that's good. Perfect. Yeah, and then just fold that wire back over. Yeah, so fold it back over.
I thought somebody was telling me I can do it this way.
You can go whichever way you want. Don't matter. For strength value, it doesn't really matter. Just double it over like that. That's perfect. Gather it up. Wrap back down it. Good. Good. Looking good. Looking good. You need some, does anybody need some wire cutters? If you had any trailer left over. Looks all right. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Okay, guys. So that's essentially the back end of this fly. We've set our eyes so that we can kind of now basically just repeat what we did the first time. So we're going to grab another piece of marabou. We're basically going to just literally retie what we did in the back. We're going to tie it, but unfortunately do all this pretty work with it, and then we're going to cover most of it up with hair. But it sets this profile, helps hold up that deer hair in the front, and it gives movement to the middle of this fly. So we take that next piece of marabou, and what we want to do when we tie this in, we're going to tie it in just ahead of the beads. We want this to maybe come back and begin to touch that schlappen in the back. Okay, but we don't want it laying back over that. We want it to come back and just start to touch it. And again, we want to tie this in on top of the hook, so it's almost covering up those beads. And if you take that marabou in your fingers and you almost push it down around the hook a little bit, that actually is going to move some of that fiber around the hook so it's not just sitting on top. So I'll show you guys here at home first what I'm going to do, and then I'll help you guys here. So I had that marabou up on top. I measured it so it just started to come back and touch the schlappen. I grab it with my other fingers, put it on top of the hook, and I'm just moving my fingers like so, and that allows that material to go around the hook. Then I take one loose collecting wrap as before, pull up, add a couple more. And then I'm going to wrap that up like before, a little bit up. So I build a little bit of that body, and then I get rid of that marabou. Sorry? No, we're going to leave some, we want to leave some space behind the eyes. Yeah, that's about right. So I can, if you kind of pull this fly back, you can kind of get an idea where it sits. Yeah. Perfect. So to start tying behind the eyes with it, and then work your way back down. Yeah. Good. Like a pro. And then just cut this back so we have a little bit of space behind the eyes.
I gotta go forward.
Yeah. So just bring it up to just kind of behind the eyes, and then we'll cut it off.
So we're going from the back.
Yeah, so if I pull this back, yeah, that's perfect. We just want to have a little bit of contact, the marabou to the schlappen, just not totally covering it. Yeah. That's good. Good job, guys. It's looking good. So guys, again, we want to just give a little shout out to West River Fly Shop. Like we've kind of advertised already through our Fly Fishing Boat River page. We want to keep this free as long as we can. So we had an anonymous donation last week, and then again, Troy at West River Fly Shop. He's helping us get these materials, giving us a break on them, helping us pay for them, so we can continue to keep this free. So you should take take a look at his website if you want. He is online now as well, so you can order some stuff directly from him if you choose to. But yeah, just thanks again to Troy for doing that. He tried to come tonight, but thought that going to a Flames game was a better idea. Obviously. Are they losing? Obviously wasn't the right idea. All right, how we doing there, guys? Pretty good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna repeat what we did on that back end of the fly. We're gonna tie in that schlappen first. Then we're gonna tie in that cactus chenille. And then we're just gonna repeat what we did. Wind that cactus chenille up, then wind up that schlappen. Again, remembering we're leaving that space behind those eyes because we're gonna tie in some deer hair, okay? So on your own time, go ahead and do that. So start with that schlappen. Yeah, that's right. So again, guys, we want to expose, we're gonna tie in from the tip. We're gonna pull some of those fibers down. We're gonna expose a little area where we tie in. Remembering again that we wanna keep those fibers pointing backwards when we tie it in. We'll lay that up on top. We'll get it collected, tie it in, and then we're gonna just leave it over the back of the fly because we'll come back to it and we'll wrap it up.
Is the chenille staying behind the eyes?
Sorry?
Stays behind the eyes.
Stays behind the eyes, yeah. That's a good question. There is a fly that's very, very similar to this called the circus peanut, and you actually use the chenille to create the head. Also a very good pattern, but this one is more of a sculpin pattern because we have a big, bulky head. And because I wanted to teach you guys how to spin deer hair the best we can. Did anybody actually go home and practice their deer hair skills this week? Yeah, looking at the ceiling, I see. Okay. Supposed to make my life easier. Yeah, so sorry, one sec here. So what I'm gonna get you to do is I'm gonna make you feel bad here. Let's pull this out. Let's take this thread and bring it all the way back to it on top of those beads.
Okay.
And we'll retie this in again. And we're gonna tie it in right at the back there.
How far behind the eyes do I want to keep this?
How much you got there? Yeah, that's about right. So keep, guys, if you're looking at those dumbbell eyes, keep about the width of your dumbbell eyes as space back from them for when we tie in this collar. We want to have room to get a few stacks of that hair in.
All right, so to the beads.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And then we'll tie in this feather, just like you already had.
Oh, okay. So, yeah,
pointed back, so we'll tie it in there, and then we'll tie in our piece of chenille. All right. Better? Can I explain schlappen? What do you want to know? It's a pretty general question. Schlappen. So I'm not going to act like I actually know where out of a cape this comes from. I know it's near the saddle hackle because it's basically just a bigger version of it. This feather, the good things about it is it gives us the opportunity to wind a hackle that gives us a huge range of versatility as far as bulk is concerned. So we have very little actual fiber, but it stands up nice and high and has lots of movement. So when we're using it, we use it on like steelhead intruders, we use it on things to prop other materials up, but it also just gives us such a big profile for these streamer flies that we like to tie. Does that answer your question enough? I'm not sure, but. And one thing about, another thing about the schlappen is the fuzzy stuff at the back, it isn't useless. We can use it. You can use it like a marabou. Some feathers have longer marabou at the back than others, but it is material you could reuse if you choose. So as we wrap that cactus chenille, now we're gonna take and wrap back this schlappen. Again, guys, just kind of remembering to coax those coax those feathers backwards. It probably doesn't matter at all what it looks like, but it looks a lot nicer if you can keep them pointed backwards. We're gonna tie that schlappen off and snip it off.
So you just take these two and then twist
Yeah,
them
so
all
we're
over.
gonna go for this one first. So
Okay.
we wrap that one up to just behind the eyes, and then we take the next one and we do the same. So move your thread up to right behind the eyes so that when you're there, you just can tie it off. And same thing here, guys, as we did on the last one. We're gonna tie in those silly legs. So we need to create a little bit of room. So we wanna make another little bit of a thread dam. And it's okay if you wrap over some of those materials, because actually that's just gonna push them back, which is kind of what we want anyways. So then I want you to repeat what you did with those silly legs. We're gonna tie one on one side, one on the other. If you guys back home have any questions, I know we're interacting as a group here, but this is for you as well. So if you have any questions at all, just type it in on our Facebook page, ask a question. Dana can ask me, and we can answer it the best we can for you. If you want some clarification about how we did something, or you want me to re-show you how to do it, it's not a problem.
Same thing with the feather.
What's that, sir?
Same thing with the feather.
Yep, same thing with the feather. And guys, if you hadn't trimmed them already, when we look at these legs now, we don't want these to get tangled up per se in the back end of the fly. So we're gonna, if we pull them tight, we wanna cut them right about in the middle of where the schlappen is. So if we look at the schlappen of the back fly, we'll kind of cut into the middle, and then we'll come up and we'll snip them. Okay, they don't need to be super long. We don't want them getting tangled. And trust me, because I've tied a lot of these, especially starting, this is one of my first big streamers ever tied. These silly legs will only be on here for about 10 minutes anyways. You'll cut them off when we try to trim the deer hair, so it's more about, they look pretty right now, but they'll probably be gone anyway shortly. Something I forgot to bring with me, but then at this stage makes it really easy, is if you have a short piece of McDonald's straw, or any straw, but that kind of size, if you cut a little piece of it and you cut a slit through it, you can actually take it and wrap it around those fibers, and it just holds everything out of the way. So when you're working with the all right, we can't use straws anymore. If you have stored any, well, that's stupid. It's a good tying material.
I think I need a little more of that wire
Oh yeah. For the wire? For which part?
for the. Oh, never mind.
Oh, the wire and legs. There we go. Okay, guys. So if you looked at your thread, like for instance, for me right now, I'm using a 140 UTC. I'm gonna whip finish this off, or however you need to, if you wanna tie off. We're gonna spot it with some glue, and I'm gonna retie with a heavier thread. If you need some, I've got some more up here. But when we're spinning this deer hair, it's gonna be easier if we have a little heavier thread. Something that's, 150 is probably a little light, but 200 or 250 denier is good. Sorry? Yeah. And kind of the point of that heavier thread is we can literally reef on it and it's not gonna break. If I was to stick with this, it's still doable, but more than likely you're gonna end up breaking once or twice. And if you've got a beautiful stack of hair on the hook and it breaks, it's all over. So you're gonna have to start again. How's that going?
All right.
Good.
I think I'm just.
I know, right? It looks so good till now, and it just goes downhill. We'll see if we can fix that today.
All uphill.
Yeah. Here, I'm gonna tighten this for you, just so it
Yeah,
holds it a little
that's
bit.
why
So that will tighten and it won't spin so bad on you. So then what you wanna do is take this material and kind of hold it back out of the way, and just do a few wraps back onto it, just to get everything back away from the eye just a little bit. Yeah, that's perfect. I'll take one less, so go back one more time, right there. That's where we wanna, so now just do a few wraps right at that spot, and then we're good to go. Cool. Okay, guys,
On the other side, right?
yeah, we'll start, yeah, one more. So there's a kind of a little brand shout out. I've used a ton of different heavier thread. I just handed Brandon some GSP. GSP made by UTC is a good one, but it really messes with your bobbins, especially if you buy the colored stuff. If it's red or if it's brown or black, it actually leaves a dye inside your bobbin, which just destroys it. So what I do is I like to use this, it's called Vivus. And if you buy, you can get it in 150 denier and 200. It's perfect for this stuff. It's a bigger spool as well, so you get a significant amount more. But one of these is, what does it say on it? It's $5. So one thing of thread is $5, but I don't use it for everything. I only use it at the head. So it actually lasts quite a while, but it's a lot more expensive than the $2 you'd pay for another one. Okay? Does anybody else need some thread? Yeah? I got 4 more here. We'll trade you out too. Put that one. So let's, we're gonna try to whip finish. If you want. And you want one? Somebody else need one?
You can do it by hand too.
You can do it by hand, yeah. Okay, so let's help you with this.
Hook.
So just give yourself a little bit more line to work with. So pull down just a little bit. Good. Hook. And then wrap over top of that. Good. Now, yeah. Oh man, yeah. And then spin that around. So you want you want this to go on this side and that to go on that side. Yeah. And you just do 1, 2, 3. Just 1 second. Pull this stuff over. There we go. Well, I'll just hold it back out of the way. We're just so bad. We're getting it so tangled. Good. Now just lean it with. Yep. Now lean with the butt. So that should be enough. So now, yep, exactly. Lean with the butt. Pull with that hook and pull with this, and it will tighten it in. And let it go. Boom. Nice work. All right. Okay, guys. So we talked a little bit. About hair last week. Again, when we look at a patch of hair, what I would recommend is you can get spinning hair, which is pretty good stuff. I would look for deer belly when I'm tying these flies. It trims really nice. It's a little bit bigger fiber. If you look down in it, if the hair looks almost crinkled, you know it's a good hair. But a nice large diameter, it fills up space quickly. A lot easier to tie with. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pass these patches around. I'll show you how I'm gonna start with the collar, and then we'll go into stacking some of the hair, and we're just gonna pass these patches around so that you each can tie off one. Cut this one. Yeah. Okay, guys, let's get through this as painless as possible. Yeah, if you have a hair stacker, it is good to align the collar hairs so we can stack it if you have one or not. I'm gonna take on this first one, guys. I'm gonna take we're gonna say about a pencil width. Yeah, we're gonna start. So I should tie my thread back on. So that first stack of hair that's our collar is we're gonna put it right in front of those silly legs. Key thing about this collar, we wanna get it only as like a top end of a horseshoe, okay? We don't want this to go all the way around. Last week when we did it on the Bow River Bugger, we went all the way around. This time we just want it on the top. If some goes below, we can trim it after, but it's easier if we build that collar just on top of the fly. So I'm gonna take about a pencil width. Yeah, stack this. We're gonna stack this first one. It's fun, hey? If you lick the end of it, and then suck on the end of the bobbin. Yeah, just don't think about the fact that I've already sucked on the end of that bobbin. So remember, guys, with this hair, we want to take out that guard hair. Okay, so we want to just comb it out. Whatever comb you have, this is a specific one made for it. Just comb out that under fur. If we don't have that out, it's not going to tie in properly. Okay? We'll take that, stack it quick. I'll do this, Cole, and then I'll give you a hand. So when you're thinking ahead, guys, when you're tying with deer hair and you're stacking it, it's all, whether it's a caddis, whatever it is you're doing, always try to think ahead of time how you're orienting your stacker. So I know that I need the tips of this pointing this way, so it makes sense to flip it over, pull those out so they're already pointed that way. I'm already gathering them with this hand. Clean this out again, make sure it's good. Sorry? The tips. Yeah. I can't think of when we would align the base. We're pretty much only aligning over the tips. So good question though. So I'm gonna take this, and when I'm thinking of the how far back I want this collar to go, I don't want this to go all the way back to that marabou, because I want it to expose a little bit of that work we did before. So the best you can, guys, try to keep an eye. I know it's hard to see, but keep an eye on what I'm doing here, and then we'll kind of come around and help you guys. So for you at home first, we'll kind of show you this way, and then we'll go around and help. One way to help clean this up is we could trim this first. We could take some length off of it. This time I'm not going to, because I'm going to show you how we can actually use this hair instead of having to put an extra stack in. So I'm going to measure this so it comes about to the middle of this hook. So I'm about right in the middle of where this schlappen is. I'm going to switch hands. I'm going to pinch it. So it's very important when I pinch on top of here that I'm holding it there so it doesn't want to spin all the way around, okay? Now, having this nice tension of this thread, I'm able to just go over once, get a collecting wrap. I'm gonna go one more time, and I can feel that hair under my fingers wanting to spin, but I'm pinching it on that hook. I just give a pull.
Are you in front of the eyes?
I'm behind the eyes. I gave a good pull, stands up that collar, nice, and I'm remembering to always keep pressure on your thread. If I let go, then it's gonna go. I'm gonna wanna do maybe one wrap through the middle of that hair so I can work it through. And then I'm gonna pull all that hair back, and I'm gonna wrap just in front of those eyes. Not a huge thread dam or anything, just enough to make sure it's not gonna move. And so you see how all this other hair stood up. That's hair that I don't have to add in now. A lot of guys would trim that and then they would just stack hair from here on out. This is just a way of utilizing that hair right from the start, okay? So we'll get you to cut off about a finger width here.
You think?
You want to hold the other hand.
This hand?
Yeah.
So I'll get the stack for you, and then we'll.
And then grab, I guess you could grab now with the other hand. Your left hand, right?
Is any of this making sense?
Yeah. I'll just grab this one.
Oh yeah.
I did it
Have you ever picked up a fly rod before?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I
you-
fly fish a little bit.
Oh, do you? Nice. Okay.
even a little less. Yeah, because it's going to go
And Dana hasn't taken you out yet?
No, he's big.
Man, what a guy.
He's just busy.
Yeah, he's busy. Not even reacting to our banter.
I've teased him enough
You
about
yeah,
it.
I've heard it a few times tonight, so hopefully he remembers. So we're just stacking that so that we can align all these tips to the same length.
Okay.
So when I pull this out of here, now I have all those tips are pointing backwards.
Yeah.
So when you grab them, grab the tips like so and just pinch them in your fingers with this hand.
Okay.
Try to almost get it on the meaty part of your fingers. There we go. Let's start this. Oh, you got that thread there. Let's start your thread for you quick, because we should have probably done that first, but that's okay. Ooh, this is weird with the wrong hand.
Yeah, because you can kind of
Doesn't really look so big.
if you do like two, you can actually cinch it.
So I want this face. I got it facing the wrong way.
Yeah,
Right?
no, you're good, because those are the tips that are aligned. This is all the mismatched stuff.
See.
So now what we want to do is you want to set it right on top of here, keep a good pinch on it, and take one wrap around, but keep that pinched as tight as you can. One wrap, so give yourself a little bit more thread, so you can go one more wrap around. I'll just hold these out of the way. One more time around. Good, now pinch here and pull tight with this thread. Pinch really hard with this with your fingers though, and just pull. Yeah, now pull, pull, pull. Good, stand up that hair.
Okay.
Good. And now let's go and put a wrap right behind all that hair. Good. And do one more. Yeah. Yeah, just get behind that eye. Good. Perfect. Okay, guys. So the next piece of hair we're gonna put in, so I'll kind of explain to you how I stage this out. So I've done this first piece. If I've used all this hair, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one below, and this one, from here on out, the tips don't matter. Okay, so I can cut off a piece of hair. I actually trim off the tips, so just because you don't need them. It's a thin part of the hair. It doesn't spin as nice. I got the rest of the hair to work with. I'm gonna tie in one on the bottom, and then I'm gonna pull back. I'm gonna tie one more in up top, and then that's gonna bring me to right even with the eyes, and then we're gonna actually do a true spin of deer hair in front of all the eyes. So the first piece we want to do next is we want to add, so take about the same clump of, or size of clump of hair as you did before.
Same distance too.
Same
Halfway
distance.
to the shopping and then
So it doesn't, so this stuff, it doesn't matter. This stuff's gonna get right trimmed down. So I'll show you guys on here. If you're looking at this finish fly, the collar is on top and on the sides, but there's nothing on the bottom. Okay, so we wanna almost expose some of that sparkle chenille underneath and all that. So on here, we shaved that top end, we got a nice collar, but on the bottom, there's nothing there, okay? So this stuff doesn't matter how we tie it in. Tips can go whichever way you want. Like I said, I normally trim them out just because we're not gonna use them. So same exact thing takes place here, guys. I need to pinch and hold so it doesn't go anywhere. But remembering, I need to keep this thread out of the way of all that other hair. Right, so I don't wanna bind down any of that hair that I've already used, so I'm just gonna go up, around that eye, away from that other hair, pull tight. Stands up that next section of hair. After every time we put in a little bit of hair, we wanna go back around the hook a few times with the thread because otherwise we're gonna lose what we just put in. Okay, makes sense? Wanna try a piece? Sure. So flip her over and that's gonna go on the bottom, right behind the dumbbell eyes, okay? All right, guys. Yeah, that's perfect. That's good, good, good. Yeah, that's good. So then just make sure we get some wraps up ahead of that hair, yeah. It's, when we're learning here, guys, we're gonna realize the tendency is to want to put lots of thread on to hold that hair down. But if we put too much, if we actually put a bunch of thread in there, when we go to trim it, you're actually gonna see your thread. You're gonna see the thread that bit through that hair. We wanna keep 1 or 2 wraps nice and tight with that nice thread we're using. Pull the hair back and get some wraps in front of it. Secured.
Doesn't matter which end.
No, it doesn't matter at all. No. How are we doing?
My thread keeps breaking. so I
Okay,
keep
I'll grab
trying
you
to-
some other thread because that stuff is gonna be tough to work with.
Is that what you said, Tim?
Sorry?
We should be at the barbell now?
Yeah, pretty even. We're gonna do a stack on top and then we're gonna do, yeah. Here, let you put that in your bobbin.
What's that?
It's just really heavy stuff, like you can't break it. So it makes it a lot easier when you're tying in this hair. How are we doing? We're doing okay? All right, well that's good, you got your collar in there. So, in future reference, we wanna move a little bit farther here. Let me see here what we've got. I might actually be able to do this. I'm just gonna take this out so I can show you.
Yeah, it's because I folded it back and then wrapped it.
Oh, I gotcha. So, I'm sorry. We want to utilize as much of this hook as we have already that we've used because we don't want to waste any of this sparkle that's down here. So by coming, you're wrapping this way, by coming up here, we actually can start this collar up here instead of all the way back there. And then we're gonna better utilize, I knew I was gonna do that. That's all right. Here, I'm gonna grab you some other thread.
You guys should put another stack in there. Or no?
Did you put one on top already?
No, one.
Yeah, okay, you're good then. We'll just spin one more. I'm gonna grab some thread. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, I'll get you to put that in your bobbin.
Should you go about there? Then?
Okay, so I would hold it with your other hand first just to gauge. So now you can see, yeah, you're good. You're about right in the middle. So now switch hands again like you did. Staying behind those dumbbell eyes, yep. So do one loose wrap. Do one more.
No, I'm sorry, like.
And now pull real tight. Yep, good. You're encouraging that hair there to flare back. And now immediately pull it back and put a wrap right in front of the hair. Good. There you go. And now next we're just gonna flip it over and we're gonna put another stack of hair. This time we're just gonna put it right here.
Okay.
And then we'll move forward from there.
So, Tim, where's the third wrap there? So, I've got one on the bottom.
Okay,
one
so
on the
this
top.
is your top, your bottom. So now we're gonna do one big clump and we're gonna spin it.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll show that when we get there. So yeah, let's start your thread up here and we can just work it back there.
that probably won't be enough.
No, no, a little bit more than that. We want, yeah, it's a good question, guys, on proportion of this hair. You're gonna probably the first few times you're gonna go too light, and you're not really gonna understand that until we go to shave it, because that hair actually really needs to fill up that space. And so if we don't have enough, it's just gonna look more like a porcupine versus being a nice tight hair, which is okay. It's just, it's part of the learning process. So think of when I grab hair, I'm thinking a minimum of a pinky, like a pinky kind of width, or a pencil, they say. That's if you've squeezed it tight. Okay, so let's restack this here quick. Okay, so when we measure this, we're trying to keep those tips aligned best we can. We want to be right about in the middle of that hook, okay? So I'm gonna hold it here for you. I want you to take one wrap over top of it. So give yourself a little bit more, pull a little more line out. Yeah, so do one over top, go one more time, stop there, and now pull tight. Pull, pull, pull. Good. And now put one more wrap. Good, one more time. Good. That's good. And now what we're gonna have to do, I think we'll probably have to take the hook out and flip it upside down, and then we're gonna put one on the bottom. Exact same thing as we just did. You shouldn't even be able to break that stuff. That's okay, you can save it. That was the top one you just did? Or
Yeah.
this one right here?
Yeah, wrap the back.
Yeah, we're not gonna save that. It's okay. Just grab another chunk of hair. Okay guys, what for you guys back home, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna finish off this fly. I'll work with you guys here kind of once we get it, just so everybody's kind of on the same page. I'll finish off showing what I'm gonna do on this. I'll do a quick trim on it, and then we'll kind of work together, and I can help you guys as we go from there. Okay? So all I've done so far is I put one on top, one on bottom. I'm gonna stick an additional one up top here. So it's kind of a weird thing to see here. If I tip this towards you, I pull this back. I'm looking to put a bunch of hair right here. And the reason for that is the majority of this, the bulk of this fly is on top of the hook. So by putting another big stack here and then spinning one at the front, it's gonna fill up that top end of the hook. I'm gonna grab this hair quick. So again, don't need to stack. But we still need to clean out that hair every time, making sure we get all that junk out of it, all that under fur that's in it. Okay. So I'm gonna take this, I'm just gonna literally pull those fibers back out of the way, lay this hair right on top, and I'm again holding it where I want it to be. And I'll try to turn this towards you so you can see. But as I hold it here, I only want to go around the dumbbell. So I'm around the dumbbell here. I'm going to reach over. I'm going to feel that dumbbell. I'm going to get around it. I'm going to pull my thread back. One tight pull. Make sure I go around the hook like I said, because we want to save that. Now that's there. That stood up a whole nother stack of hair. I'm going to make a couple more wraps so that I know that that's going to stay in there. And now I'm going for probably the biggest clump that I'm going to work with so far. Not outrageous huge, but big enough that we're now thinking that we're stacking on top and the bottom just by doing one quick spin of hair. So I'll show you this technique, and then, like I said, I'll come around and give you a hand with it. Something you'll pretty quickly realize as well that makes this a lot easier on yourself is if you have a good pair of actual hair scissors that has a bit of a serrated edge. It makes it a lot easier when we're working with cutting this hair out. Okay, so if we remember last week, we did this exact same spinning technique. Well, George showed it to you. We're gonna pull all that fibers back out of the way. I'm gonna set this kind of at that 45 on here. I'm gonna hold it back. Again, this is made a lot easier by the thread that we're using. I'm gonna take one loose collecting wrap, and all that's kind of doing is just getting a little bit of tension. Every time I put tension on that, as you can see, it'll start to flare. So I have one loose collecting wrap, 2, And all I'm gonna do is now, as I start to pull, I'm gonna let go with this hand and let it spin. See that happen? Again, remembering I'm keeping tension on this thread. And now I'm gonna do maybe one, maybe two, working that thread around just a couple more wraps. Not many, because remember what I said, the more times we go around through that hair, the more you're gonna see. Trust that you've tightened that down tight. Work that hair back away from the eye, and hopefully you've still got enough room. We're gonna put some wraps right behind the eye. Right behind the eye, we'll whip finish here. A lot of times, guys, we end up getting so much hair on this eye that it's really tough to do a whip finish on it, because you basically have to hold the material back, like so, and then whip finish it. We could just do a half hitch on this as well, like I showed earlier around the pen. That makes it a lot easier sometimes if we got way too much hair up at the eye, okay? So I know that's, I kind of went through that quick. Like I said, I'll come back and give you a hand. I'm gonna do a quick trim on this. If you guys wanna just kind of listen and pay attention for a second on this, just so we kind of get a little bit of a technique down. This is normally, everybody can so get to this point, and then normally the fly falls apart. It's hard to get a good trim job on these, and it just sometimes takes a lot of flies to really get it where you want it. Less is more, that's all I can say. You'll end up with a really tiny, you can look at the difference even between these two flies. The difference between these two, one's a lot bulkier head than the other, and that's just me being, oh, it doesn't look quite right, oh, it doesn't look like, all of a sudden I've got a snake instead of a big sculpin head. It doesn't take much at all to get from one to the other. Okay, so just remember, less is more. We're working at getting that nice collar on top, and a nice dome-shaped head on top, and a nice flat bottom under the dumbbell eyes, okay? So I always start by going underneath, and what I have for you guys to use is these same razor blades we used last week, wherever I put mine. Grab this one, oh there it is. So I just use, this is what I have, the brand is Astra. I get them off Amazon. They're actually for like a traditional razor, blade razor. I break them in half, it's a little easier to use them. Be very careful with them, they are very sharp, but they're nice and bendable, and it's that curve that it's creating that dome shape out of that razor blade that really helps shape that head. You can do this with scissors, it just takes a ton of time, and you're not gonna have the same shape, okay? With a nice sharp razor, we're just doing little touches. So I'm gonna spin my fly over. I wanna work on the bottom portion of it first. So remember, like I said, we want a nice flat bottom. So if I set this razor blade thinking that I'm setting it right on that hook, or the eye of the hook, I'm gonna think of pointing it at a 45-degree angle back to those dumbbell eyes. So I just give little touches. It's like I said last week, little touches, move some of that hair away, work on getting a nice flat bottom on it, move some of that hair away, work back, work back. Remembering we don't want a collar at the back, we actually want to see underneath, so that's why we want this nice flat surface. There's no kind of perfect way to shape this head. This is my best guess at how, this more consistently makes a better head for me. Get a flat bottom, flip over. Now I'm gonna think of taking this razor blade, and I like to actually brace myself actually on my vise. I'll put one hand on the vise, touch my thumb against my hand, and it gives you just another point of security when you're holding. And I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna work up like a dome. And one smooth stroke, remembering I've got a collar on there that I actually want to leave on there. I've got silly legs I'd also like to leave on there. So just little bits at a time so that you don't cut everything off at once. So I'm gonna brace myself, kind of point that razor blade a little bit up and back. You'll start to see a bit of a shape coming. And you may realize that that initial kind of rainbow shape you made was too large, and we can move that down later. We're basically just trying to get a really nice symmetrical on both sides, shave back down to that collar without cutting that collar off, okay? At this point, what I do mostly is I just do little touches to expose that collar right at the back so that I know what else I need to work as far as cutting some more out. So if you look at this fly now, it almost looks like another one of his flies, a flatliner. It's just a big flat head. The best way to kind of get your initial shape is I like to come at it with some scissors at this point. And all I do is I'm going to take these scissors, I'm going to create an angle down towards the eye of the hook. Try to do this with the opposite hand. I create an angle, make one snip. That starts my shape. Do it again, remembering staying away from that collar. Make that shape. And again, now I'm just going to touch it up with this. Okay? We want those eyes to be exposed. So we need to get that hair away from them. And you're going to kind of get a rough sketch of what this head looks like, and then you can get a little bit more particular if you want. But remembering, every time you cut more hair, you can't put it back on. Okay, so just once you get it to where you think it looks pretty good, you got a nice rounded shaped dome head. We'll leave it at that. There, so if you look at this now, I've got a pretty nice shape to this head. I've got a few fibers on this side I can still see that have the uneven butts on it. So I might go in there with scissors, or I could just touch it with the razor blade to try to get a little bit out. But I also know it's right up against those rubber legs. There, that didn't work too bad. Any little touch-ups I would say at the end, do with your scissors if you got hair over the eyes. I actually like to cheat. Another little product punch here that I think is the best tool when you're working with deer hair. It's actually a cauterizer. Hairline, you can get it from Hairline. This little tool, when it comes to cleaning up around the eye or cleaning up around the dumbbell eyes, is brilliant. I work in hospitals, so I see them all the time. This is the exact same cauterizer that physicians use. So if you press the button, it's going to heat up that end, and I can just do little touches. Show you on this side, little touches I can clean up. It's a really slick little tool. Even on the collar, you're like, I just want to touch that one hair. You can do it. If you're doing a white head, it will blacken it a little bit, so you kind of got to add a little moisture with your finger and rub it, and it'll get the little bit of ashes off of it. And there. Not too bad. That's what we want our finished product to look like, or something sort of like that. Okay? So we've got a nice dome, top of the head, flat on the bottom. We still got a collar and still have our rubber legs. Okay? Again, guys at home, if you have any questions about that, shout out. Sing. You ready? Want to sing again? Sure. All right, yeah, I'll help you with that in a sec. Okay. We're gonna get Cole to go up and sing a few more songs to kind of close us down tonight. If you have any questions for me, ask while he's up there, and then I'll help you guys here once we're done with that.
Razor blade?
Yeah, and I have some razor blades here for you. You got one? Okay. You got a razor? You need a razor? You got one? You need one?
Flat like that?
Yeah, flat on the bottom. Okay, one sec here. Yeah, so there you go. You got one?
Yeah.
Oh, you heard, sorry. You have one too? I know.
I was getting a couple packs.
Oh, yeah. I know I get like, it comes in like boxes of 100 of them or something, yeah.
Like 100 packs, I think.
Yeah, I know, it's insane how many you get.
You just bend them and snap.
Yeah, just bend it, it'll snap. Share one with your buddy. How we doing? You're not supposed to be laughing, we're supposed to be encouraging here.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Yeah, we're good.
I don't know. It's okay.
Cool. That's all right, it's supposed to kind of look gross at that point before we do some shaving. Okay.
I feel like I need one that spins so you can get
Yeah.
under a lot easier.
100%. It makes it a lot harder.
Yeah, taking it
when
off
you're-
and your threads all like.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot. I mean, I do it 100 times when I'm tying a fly. I just take it, turn a little bit to look at it, because sometimes you just like, oh, I forgot to put it over
Alrighty.
there, and then all of a sudden there's a naked piece on the other side of the hook.
So Dana was telling me he wanted to hear that "It Don't Hurt Like It Used To" song, so I think I'm gonna sing it for him. Had a couple beers with one of my friends, told him just how our story ends. Did all I could, try to make it work, but you drug my heart through the Alabama dirt. Been out the house, climbing them walls, checking that calendar, Xing days off. Hit another bar, call another friend, throw the feud down, tell the story again. Hey, hey, what can I say? I could just lie, say it's all okay. And oh, what can I do? Going through hell, getting over you, but it don't hurt like it used to. No, it don't hurt like it used to. Finally getting back out into the world. Life is good, I'll marry a girl. She got a beautiful heart, eyes are blue. I don't hardly ever think about you. And hey, hey, what can I say? I could just lie, say it's all okay. And oh, what can I do? Going through hell, getting over you, but it don't hurt like it used to. No, it don't hurt like it used to. And hey, hey, what can I say? I could just lie, say it's all okay. And oh, what can I do? Going through hell, getting over you, but it don't hurt like it used to. No, it don't hurt like it used to. Thanks. Thanks. All right, we're going to switch her up a little bit genre-wise. We're going to do a little Tom Petty. She grew up in the Indiana town, had a good-looking mama. I never was around, but she grew up tall. She grew up right with them Indiana boys on them Indiana nights. But she moved down here at the age of 18. She blew the boys away, it was more than they'd seen. I was introduced and we both started grooving. Said I dig you, baby, but I gotta keep it moving. Moving on. Last dance of Mary Jane, one more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in and I'm tired of this town again. Well, I don't know, but I've been told you never slow down, you never grow old. Tired of screwing up, tired of being down, tired of myself, tired of this town. Oh my, oh hell yeah. Honey, put on that party dress. Buy me a drink, sing me a song. Take me as I come, cause I can't stay long. Last dance of Mary Jane, one more time to kill the pain. I feel summer creeping in and I'm tired of this town again. But this pigeon's down in Market Square. She's standing in her underwear, looking down from a hotel room. Nightfall will be coming soon. Oh my, oh hell yes. You got to put on that party dress. It was too cold to cry when I woke up alone. Hit the last number, walk to the road. Last dance of Mary Jane, one more time to kill the pain. feel summer creeping in, and I'm tired of this town again. Thank you. Alrighty, if you guys know the words, sing along with me. We're gonna do a little chicken fried. Well, I was raised beneath the shade of a Georgia pine. That's home, you know, sweet tea, pecan pie, and homemade wine, where the peaches grow. My house, it's not much to talk about, but it's filled with love and grown on southern ground, with a little bit of chicken fried, a cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and a radio up. I like to see the sunrise, see the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, know a mother's love. Well, it's funny how the little things in life that mean the most, not where you live, what you drive, or the price tag on your clothes. No dollar sign on a piece of mind, this I've come to know. So if you agree, raise your glass with me, raise your glasses for toast to a little bit of chicken fried, a cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and a radio up. I'd like to see the sunrise, see the love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, know a mother's love. I thank God for my life, for the red and white, may freedom forever fly, and let it ring. Salute the ones that die, the ones that give their lives so it don't have to sacrifice all the things we love, like our chicken fried, a cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and a radio up. I'd like to see the sunrise, see love in my woman's eyes, feel the touch of a precious child, know a mother's love. Thank you. Baby, last night was hands down one of the best nights that I've had, no doubt. Between the bottle of wine and the look in your eyes and the Marvin Gaye, then we dance in the dark under September stars and the pouring rain. And I know that I can't ever tell you enough that all I need in this life is a crazy love. If I never get to see the northern lights, or if I never get to see the Eiffel Tower at night, or if all I got is your hand in my hand, oh baby, I could die a happy man. You know I could, girl. Baby, that red dress brings me to my knees. Oh, but that black dress makes it hard to breathe. You're a saint, you're a goddess, the cutest, the hottest, a masterpiece. Nothing better than you, too good to be true in my wildest dreams. And I know that I can't ever tell you enough that all I need in this life is your crazy love. If I never get to see the northern lights, or if I never get to see the Eiffel Tower at night, oh, if all I got is your hand in my hand, oh, baby, I could die a happy man. I don't need no vacation, no fancy destination. Baby, you're my great escape. We can stay at home, listen to the radio, dance around the fireplace. If I never get to build my mansion in Georgia, drive a sports car up the coast of California, oh, if all I got is your hand in my hand, oh, baby, I could die a happy